in this battle for truth, transparency, and justice. Decisions being made now by those who have the power to make them, and those decisions are affecting victims' lives and increasing their emotional suffering. Today, Alicia Arden has decided to be one of the survivors who will share her thoughts about some of those decisions. Once again, she is showing her courage by continuing to speak out about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I am sure that more victims will also break their silence in the future. Alicia will now read a statement responding to some of the key questions that reporters have been asking, but she hasn't previously answered them. After she speaks, I will also briefly respond to the question of whether and under what conditions I believe that the interview of Ghislaine Maxwell by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche should be released. In addition, I'll speak to the issue of Congress and its upcoming hearings on Jeffrey Epstein and how it should involve victims in that process. And now it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Alicia Arden.
Thanks, Gloria. Thank you.
Okay. You can move over.
Move over here.
Okay.
Okay. The first question that I have is, should the files be released? And I believe, yes, the files should be released. I'm tired of the government saying that they want to release them. So please just do it. And the next question is, should Miss Maxwell be pardoned? No, Ghislaine Maxwell should not be pardoned. She was convicted of sex trafficking of children. This is a terrible crime. Our next question is, did you ever meet Virginia Giuffre? Yes, briefly. Before Miss Maxwell was arrested, there was a meeting in New York with law enforcement, with either the FBI or Homeland Security, and with many other victims. And Virginia and I were there. And I said, "Hi, Virginia. Did you file a police report?" I did, in California. Virginia said, "No, I could not do that. I could not do that. I was around rich and powerful people." And at the same meeting with victims and their attorneys, the law enforcement agent at the podium asked the victims if they had any questions. Virginia asked why Maxwell was still walking around and free. And the agent responded that they were going to find her. And I'm very glad that Virginia, that she asked that question. I'm very glad. And another question is, do you want Miss Maxwell to testify? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if we can even believe her. But, I mean, I would like to know what the U.S. Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, asked her, and what she actually said to him. And the last question, how do you feel? It's a hard one for me. How do you feel about seeing Jeffrey Epstein in the news every single day and every night, all the time? And the story in the news almost every day and every night. It's very upsetting to me, and I cry with tears like I am now. In my living room, watching this all the time when I see it on the news every day. Jeffrey's in my brain, and I see him again and again, and I remember what he did to me in that hotel room. And I feel pain in my heart for myself and all for the other victims everywhere. And I see it every single day on the news.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Here are a few of my additional comments. Regarding the question of whether or not Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche should release a transcript of the questions he asked of Ghislaine Maxwell and the answers that she gave in his 2-day interview of Ms. Maxwell, I believe that he should release the entire transcript of his more than 9-hour interview with her, including all of his questions and all of her answers. I'm aware that Ghislaine Maxwell, in addition to the other crimes for which she has been convicted, was also indicted on 2 counts of perjury. Ultimately, those charges were dismissed. However, the charges cannot be ignored, and other lies that she has told do have an impact on her credibility, and are part of the reason that some victims and their lawyers think that she should never have been interviewed. They do not believe whatever her responses were to the questions asked by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. In my opinion, if the transcripts were released, then everything that Ms. Maxwell said in the interview should only be released if they're accompanied by corroboration of her statements and or evidence of inconsistent statements by her and or proof that she lied about some of her statements, if she did. In reference to the planned upcoming hearings in the fall by the House committees, I do believe that there should be a joint hearing by the House committees and a Senate committee. I'm aware that the House subcommittee is issuing subpoenas for many people in the list that they've already developed, including many former attorney generals. I think that they should add to that list former United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Alex Acosta. In addition, I think they should subpoena Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Attorney General Pam Bondi. Finally, victims and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and or Ghislaine Maxwell should be invited to appear before the House and Senate committees to share how they were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, the impact on them of these crimes, and how the criminal justice system has helped them or failed them. Victims should not be subpoenaed or compelled in any way to testify, but they should be invited. Some may wish to testify, but they should be invited and not compelled. And some may want to be anonymous, that is, they would not want their identities known or their faces shown. They should be supported in their request if that is their wish. We need change and new laws to be passed by Congress to better protect victims from the sexual predators. I look forward to sharing my ideas on this subject in the coming days. So finally, in a few moments I'll take some questions. Alicia will not be taking any questions, but we want to show you this police report. We should also have copies. Okay. Okay. I think you put it on the other side. Okay, be careful. Okay, this side. Okay, a little bit back a little. Okay, so this is her police report. And I provided you copies of that.
Okay. I see.
Do this. That's good. All right.
She is the redacted name in the police
Yeah,
report.
here. So, yeah, this is a 1987 Santa Monica Police Department crime report accusing Jeffrey Epstein of sexual battery of Alicia Arden. The redactions were made by, not by us, but this is the way we received the police report. Previously, I have asked for an unredacted copy, but I have not ever received it. Well, I'm going to try again. So, but you have that. Okay. And that's it. All right. And I'll leave this here if you want to take a look at it afterwards. Okay. Thank you. You can come back and sit down. Okay. Okay. Sit.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. Okay. I'll be happy to take a few questions, if you have them.
Ms. Allred, other than holding a press conference like this, what more can you do to try to compel the government to release what you're asking for?
Great question. How can we compel the government to do it? I think that the answer is that the power lies in the representatives of the people in Congress, in the House and the Senate. We do not have any lawsuit pending, and therefore we cannot subpoena documents or individuals. I do represent, or have represented, 27 victims of Epstein, and some Epstein and Maxwell, some underage, some adults. But any legal work we were doing for them has been accomplished. So having said that, you know, victims have become a political football for the Congress. We're really talking about law, not politics, but politics is now very much involved. And so the answer is it's going to be up to them. But individuals and groups have the power of public opinion, a court of public opinion. They can write to their elected representatives. They can also ask them the question of what they're going to do at town halls, many of which are being conducted across the country. Some of them very heated town halls with very frank and specific questions and allegations made by the people who are attending. But I think in the end, you know, they're there to represent their constituents, and it appears that the majority of the people in the United States in most polls would like to see more transparency of the evidence being revealed to them. Any other?
I have a question specifically about this. You mentioned that no charges were ever filed.
That's correct.
Can you talk us through the
Not
process?
in this case.
Right. Can you talk us through the process between police report being filed and no charges? Was there anything potentially nefarious in that process? Any sort of cover-up you're suggesting there?
Well, we tried to get to the bottom of it, why, previously, a number of years ago. And I wrote to law enforcement to try to obtain the answer to the question. Their response was that they thought that Ms. Arden only wanted to warn him and not to have him prosecuted. She denies that. You know, I don't know how they reached that conclusion, and for now, it doesn't matter to me, but the point is, often, it is the perception, based on my experience, that law enforcement sometimes discourages victims from wanting to go ahead. And that was many years ago. That was decades ago. And sometimes, in 1997, which is when it took place, law enforcement, for whatever reasons they had, might have discouraged them. Alicia has alleged previously that she did want to file a police report, that she was discouraged the first time, but then she went back and insisted on being able to file a police report. And she did. So all I can say is, I think law enforcement needs to do a better job of supporting victims, having perhaps, women victim advocates there to support victims and to help them to understand how they can play a role in prosecutions and support them so that predators could, in fact, be prosecuted. But I'm saying her position is she wanted him prosecuted, she would have testified.
Right. But
So that's,
you don't have any evidence that there was an actual sort of cover-up here. It was potentially just how these things were handled kind of badly, at that time.
my understanding is that they did contact Mr. Epstein, that is law enforcement, and he denied it.
Okay.
What a surprise.
Thanks.
I don't know whether or not they ever contacted Mr. Wexner, who owned or was the head of Victoria's Secret. Thank you for your
Thank
question. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, are you worried about victims still coming forward with how the federal government is handling this now?
Am I worried about it?
Yeah.
So the question is, am I worried about other victims coming forward given how it appears to be handled right now by the government? Well, having been involved in this case for a number of years now, it's my guess that most of the victims have lawyers, not all. And so they've been getting support from their lawyers and also from therapists, because therapy has been made available to them if they would like to take advantage of it, no cost to them. But this is, a whole new chapter. Politics is brutal. And there are still a lot of people that don't believe victims. And so, as I said, I respect their decision if they decide to come forward or don't come forward. But they should be invited, and they should be supported and not discouraged. So I just leave it up to them. I mean, some of them are still being very triggered by what's going on in the news, as obviously Alicia is and has been, because some of them have tried to move on from this emotionally and have not been successful, because now it's there every day, streaming on the internet, discussions at home around kitchen tables, and it's tough. Okay. So it's up to them if and when. I just don't want Congress to be pushing them around. We don't want them to be bullied, and we don't want them to be challenged. They've gone through a process. Many of them have spoken to law enforcement, but didn't testify for one reason or another. One reason perhaps was that Jeffrey Epstein died, or was the victim of homicide. I'm not here to talk about that today. So, sometimes there's a lot of fear and sometimes there's just a lot of emotion. So we'll have to see who decides to come forward. Any other questions? Okay. If not, I will just say that if you do want the details that we gave about what happened in that room, some of it's in the police report, but we talked about it at our press conference in 2020, and just email me and I'll be happy to provide it to you. Okay, thank you. Okay.